Hello everyone, at this festive time, may every day of yours be filled with success and joy, and may every dream of you come true and every effort be recognized. That is a Chinese saying to wish you a happy new year. It is February the 10th of 2024, which means the Chinese the Chinese lunisolar New Year has started, and this year it is the year of the dragon, which is an auspicious zodiac sign, and it deserves, of course, some special attention from us, especially when you're a fantasy author like I am. So, for those who don't know me, I am a magic wielding dragon companion and creator of worlds, and I am very happy to help you guys on your author journey. So, in today's live stream, everything will be a little bit different than what my usual viewers are used to, because today is a themed stream, and it is all about the Chinese lunisolar New Year and dragons, the main character of the Chinese New Year, and with that also the main character of today. One disclaimer up front: I am not Chinese, if it wasn't obvious already, nor have I studied the Chinese culture. So everything that I am going to tell you today is just what I so far have discovered about the Chinese New Year and dragons. It does mean I am in no way a specialist about this, and if anyone happens to have any other information or let's say corrections, just let me know in the chat, and I'd be happy to correct it in a live stream or later on. So be sure to let me know what you find, and I'd be happy to share it also with the rest of the viewers, and later on if people are commenting in the comments below. That's of course also possible if you watch this once the live stream has already finished. But right now let me just say I'm interested in the topic. Of course, I am writing about dragons. Dragons are basically a very important and very integral part of Tergene, and that is why I'm very interested in this topic. And thus I will tell you all, and I will share with you guys what I have found, and perhaps also how I use a few things in my own world in Tergene. Now, like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Post them either in the chat or below in the comments if you watch this live stream once it has already finished. Please start your question with the word question or the letter Q in capitals, so that I can far more easily recognize it in the chat and in the comments later on, because that way it will be easier for me. So between, or rather I should say, like in previous live streams, I will do live writing sprints. They will be in between the knowledge that I share with you guys about dragons and about the Chinese New Year. And like we already concluded at last week's live sprint, live writing sessions, 2024 is a special year. It is a leap year, so that is already special because that happens only once every 4 years. And right now it is February, which is the leap month with 29 days. And to make it even more special, today marks the day that the year of the dragon starts. So for me, that was very special, and that is why I decided to do this live stream, to do this themed live stream about dragons and the Chinese New Year. So let's have a look at what it all means, especially for the main character, dragons. Well, what is the year of the dragon? Well, The year of the dragon is one of the, or rather, I should say, the dragon is one of the 12 zodiac signs in the Chinese culture. The year of the dragon, or the year of the rat, or the year of the ox, or whatever, is one of the lunar solar schedule years. The Chinese use a lunisolar schedule to determine their years and to determine when the new year officially starts. And in this case, it's quite interesting because what I found, let me start with the basics. That's easier. The Chinese New Year starts somewhere between January the 21st, and February the 20th, because it falls on the second new moon after the winter solstice, which is normally on December the 21st. Now, how did this came to be? Well, mythology has it that the Chinese New Year started with a mythical beast. It was called the Nian. It lived under the sea or in the mountains, and it was during the annual spring festival. The Nian would eat villages, especially children. Can you imagine that? In the middle of the night. I mean, it's horrifying, honestly. So one year, all the villagers decided to hide from the beast and to see if that would save them all, including the children, of course. There was an older man, and he appeared before the villagers, and before the villagers went into hiding, and he said that he would stay the night and would get revenge on the Nian. Well, that is quite daring. I mean, he was an old man. Let's start with that, and he's going to fight that monster. I mean, honestly, if that creature, if that mythical beast eats villages, it is a monster, right? So he's gonna stop that monster. How? I mean, he's old, right? So what did he do? He put up red papers and he set off firecrackers. Can you imagine that? And incredibly, the day after, the villagers came back to their town and nothing was destroyed. Everything was still as they had left it. And they assumed that the old man was in truth a deity who had come to save them. The villagers then understood that Yang Yuan had discovered that the Nian was afraid of the color red and of loud noises. That is how the tradition grew when New Year was approaching, and the villagers would wear red clothes, hang red lanterns, and red spring scrolls on the windows and doors. They would use firecrackers, and they would use drums and all kinds of instruments and ways to make lots of noise to frighten away the Nian. From then on, the Nian never came to the village again. And eventually, it is said, it was captured by an ancient Taoist monk. Well, that is incredible. I mean, as far as mythology goes, as far as legends go, that is incredible. So it's I think it's a great story, and it is most certainly worth keeping. Now, over the centuries in history, so that's not mythology or legends, but in history, the celebrations and times of the new year have changed. Oh, hi, Fedina, welcome. I'm very happy to see you here. I hope you're having a great time. I just told about the legend of Nian and how the New Year started, or at least that is how the legend has it, and it's incredible. But there is one wish I would like to give you since you just joined. So at this festive time, may every day of yours be filled with success and joy, and may every dream of yours come true and every effort be recognized. And knowing what your plans are, I really hope everything comes true for you and that it will all go smoothly. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. So the what I forgot to tell during this live stream, it will be a little bit different. I will tell a lot of what I've discovered so far about the Chinese New Year and about the dragons, and we will have the writing sprints in between. Vidina, you heard of it, and you thank me, and you're wishing me a great dragon year too. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm really looking forward to having such an amazing year. It's I will tell you guys later on about it. So a little bit about the history. Like I said, over the centuries, the celebrations have changed. From what I understand, it all started with the celebration of the end of the harvest, which is, as we do it here in Europe as well, it's in autumn. But gradually, it became something that was that started not in autumn anymore, but instead it became the second new moon after the solstice, the winter solstice. And it was in time, in history, it was also an exorcism cleansing ritual to expel illness and to clean the house before the start of the Chinese New Year. So that it grew along the way, along the history. In fact, it had a stop between 1967 and 1980 because in that time, let's just say it was forbidden, or rather, the Chinese government back then said that citizens should focus on other customs instead of this because they had to work, etc. And in 1980, it was reinstated again. So that's a good thing. About this year of the dragon, it's every 12 years because the zodiac schedule has 12 zodiac signs like we have in Western history. But our Western history, or Western culture, I should say, in our Western culture, the zodiac signs are related to the month of the year instead of years altogether. And in Chinese culture, the zodiac signs are related to a whole year. It's still 12 months, but those are 12 lunar months instead of the normal months. And like I said, it's a whole year. And this year, our year of the dragon starts today. And it ends January the 28th of 2025. And the day after, from what I understand, the snake year begins. So that's a little bit about basics of history. Now let's look also at the different zodiac signs and how the zodiac calendar came to be. Now there are, like I said, 12 signs. And let me first give you guys a little overview of how it came to be, or at least what the legend about it is. The legend is that the ruler of the heavens, the Jade Emperor, needed a good way to measure time. Well, I mean, there are so many ways, right? And he was looking for a good way. So he organized the Great Race. And in the Great Race, all animals had to cross a river. Don't ask me which river because I haven't figured that out. That's something I haven't found yet. Perhaps I'll find it later. Anyways, the first 12 animals, or animal species, I guess, that would manage to cross the river would have a spot on that zodiac calendar. And it would be in exactly the way, the order they would arrive at the other side. So, what do you guess? We have a goat, we have a dog, There's a snake crossing the river. A horse. Well, I mean, horses can do that. Goats, monkeys, pigs, rats, ox, tiger, rabbit. Of course, the dragon, the rooster, and the rat. So, what do you think happened? I have to say, the animal that won was quite cunning. In the end, the first to arrive was the rat, but only just. And how did the rat do that? The rat hitched a ride on the ox because the other animals wouldn't take the rat. The rat claimed it couldn't swim. I think that, I don't know what kind of rat it was, but from what I understand, rats can actually swim. So I guess he just conned them. The ox was nice enough to let the pig ride him, and when they came to the finish line, to let the rat ride him. My apologies. When they arrived at the finish line, the rat was not so nice to the ox, and he jumped off the ox and landed on the finish line just before the ox. So the rat arrived first, officially, but like I said, only just. Then the ox, the tiger came in third. Can you imagine that? I don't know. I would have expected the tiger to be faster than the ox, but I don't know. And after the tiger, the rabbit, it apparently used all kinds of stones and such and patches where it could jump because, well, rabbits cannot really swim so well. And after the rabbit, the dragon arrived as fifth. So I'm kind of surprised about that because, I don't know, dragons can also fly. So why didn't they arrive first? But okay, the dragon arrived fifth. Then the snake, the horse, the goat, the monkey, the rooster, the dog, and the pig, which arrived as last of the first 12 animals. So that is how the Zodiac Calendar came to be, or at least according to legend. I think it is a very interesting legend, and it's not yet, or let me say it. Let me put it right. The schedulea High Council has not divulged their secret yet about their calendar system. I haven't discovered that yet precisely. I do have other things that I have discovered about how the new year works in Tergane. So that's quite interesting, and I will tell you guys later about that. So there are a few things that are interesting about the dragon. The dragon apparently is a leader. Not that. I don't see that for me personally, but okay, the dragon apparently is a leader. It's creative, it's outgoing, and all. And there's more, which right now I don't remember. I'll put it in the comments later on. My apologies for that. So it's an interesting creature. It's also the only, if you hadn't noticed it yet, it's also the only mythical creature in the zodiac sign, in the zodiac calendar. So I think that's pretty, well, not only interesting but also, how shall I say that? I don't know, it's remarkable that it's the only mythical creature. But I'm happy with it since I love dragons. So yeah, that's incredible. Now I've also looked at a horoscope for 2024 for dragons. Apparently, it also kind of depends on what kind of dragon you are. Now I'm a fire dragon, so apparently that's a good thing. But like I also noticed in horoscopes for the Western culture, they vary. They vary depending on who you ask, and they vary depending on what you are, and depending on the day and the month in which you ask. But apparently, there are a few things that might even be contradictory. But okay, so let's look at a few things. For the dragon, I won't go into details for all the zodiac signs because that is a little bit too much. But for the dragon, since it's the year of the dragon, I looked into the dragon. Um, Luckily, the luck of the dragon can be influenced by many factors, including their personal choices, their attitudes, and their dreams they have. And it is sad that it is sad that it is. My God, I need to take a little bit time. It is essential to embrace the dragon's inherent courage and intelligence and make the best of every situation. Well, that's all good and well, but exactly do you do that? I mean, if you look at luck, one says 8 is a lucky number for the dragon, while someone else says it's very unlucky. So, yeah, I don't know about that. If I look at Tergane, in Tergane, 8 is a lucky number. And for me, I was born in August, which is the 8th of the month. So for me, I consider 8 as a lucky number as well. As for directions, I mean, directions are in Chinese culture also a very important thing. And they don't seem to agree with one another. One says south is absolutely not a good direction and you should stay away from it, while another says south is the best direction for dragons. So am I going south or am I going in any other of the other three directions? I've no idea. In Tergane, south is a good direction. It's where the sun comes from. It's where the sun is at its highest point, I should say, where you have the most warmth. So I consider the south to be a good thing, instead of an unlucky thing. Now, colors. This is interesting as well because colors can mean so much to so many people. And for the dragon, apparently it is gold, which is normally not really my color. I mean, I have these gold earbuds, but that's about it. Silver, yeah, I wear silver jewelry, and if you haven't seen yet, let me see if I can grab it. I have a little silver dragon, and that is not especially for this Chinese New Year. I have this silver dragon for quite a while already. I went to Indonesia several years ago, and I bought it there, so I'm very happy with it. So yeah, silver is usually one of the colors that I one or the color of the jewelry that I wear, with one exception because I found this little turtle bracelet, and in Chinese culture, dragons also sometimes have the form of a turtle or a fish, so I thought that was quite fitting in this case. As for other things, like gemstones and crystals, apparently lapis lazuli is one of the very important gemstones for a dragon, together with amber and amethyst. So, well, lapis lazuli is a color that I love. So who knows? Who knows? My apologies. I need to drink something. And there is one more thing, or rather, a few more things. As for dragons go, and I understand that it is also true for, or also expected for a few other zodiac signs. Apparently, this year is a wonderful year for dragons with job opportunities. I mean, that's something I can truly use at this moment. Growing wealth, usually they mean extra money, which I would really welcome. Um, but I also interpret it as spiritual wealth, creative wealth. I am, after all, writing, and I would love to be able to finish my first book at least. But also wealth in the manner of health. I mean, I'm still suffering from long COVID, and it would be truly awesome if the researchers would find a treatment or medicine to help us get rid of long COVID. I mean, that would be awesome. So that is also a wealth that I interpreted. And wealth in relationships with family and friends. I mean, we are there are so many ways in which you can be rich, and so many ways in which you can interpret wealth. So do not only focus on wealth as in money. So yeah, that is how I do that, how I look at it. But yeah, a new job and extra money, a better income, more income, additional income. That would be awesome if I could manage to do that. Um, as for the creative part, I decided that I will make a small video or podcast. I'm not quite sure which one of the two I will choose, on the, which I will publish every 10th of the month until January next year, in which I will tell you guys all about how the previous month has been for me, and I will also take a look at forward to see what the new month will bring, or what I hope the new month will bring. So that was a little bit about the history of the New Year, the Chinese New Year, or at least the history that I could find. The Chinese New Year, and what they predict for the dragons. Now, there are also all kinds of customs related to the Chinese New Year, and I really like that. I mean, it seems to be far more. I don't know. Far more aimed at family and things like that, and friends. Like here, we go here in the West. Sure, we go to parties, and we celebrate with fireworks. But in Chinese culture, there is really a there are really all kinds of customs that go with it, from cleaning the house beforehand and making all kinds of dishes in the week leading up to the new year, um, to visiting family and friends on the day itself. From what I understand, there are I don't know, several billion, million, billion, I don't know, travels during that time. I mean, that's incredible. People really flock out of the city and go to visit their family and friends, to have reunion dinners. And I mean, I live here in the Netherlands, and for us, it takes to go from the most southern part of the Netherlands to the most northern part of the Netherlands. It takes about 4 or 5 hours, I think. So I guess it's a little bit easier for us to see our family. At the same time, I realize when saying this that, um, yes, it is a little bit easier, but it doesn't mean that we see our family that often. I mean, we have family reunions every several months in my family, to make sure that we still see each other. But in a country that is as vast as China is, I can surely imagine that you would travel on that day or on special days to go and visit your family. So they have those family reunions, and they prepare all kinds of meals, but they also prepare, and I think that's really, it's not funny. Not so much funny, but it's a custom we're not used to as either, and it's a good thing they prepare red envelopes, as they call it, with money, and the elders give the red envelopes to the children and grandchildren who aren't married yet, to help them and to wish them well. Um, so a very interesting thing as well. Now I told you guys that I would also tell you um, how the new year has come to be in Tergene. Well, for that, I should tell you one thing first. Tergene is like I said earlier. It is a completely different planet from Earth, and in the past, centuries, eons ago, there was the big divide. It split up continents. One was part, for example, of a larger continent, and it split up continents. It's not like it happened on Earth billions of years ago. Um, this was at a time where lots of people already lived on Tagane and in the cities. For example, the White City was originally much larger, and now it has the big abyss. It's a magical abyss. You might have seen photos of it in the past already. And on the other side, there's Greyhaven, and those two cities were originally one city. So that big divide happens, um, and at some point, the gods, or so the story goes, the legend goes, at some point the gods managed to stop the divide. The divide it was a magical divide. It split up not only Natuan with the other continent, which hasn't been named, I think. More world building I need to do. um, but it also had its influence on other continents and other parts of the world. So it's not only just on Natuan, but it had its effect around the whole planet, at the whole planet. So when that happened, when the big divide, it took a few days, and afterwards there was, of course, a lot of how shall I say that? There were a lot of troubles, a lot of problems. Like you can imagine, after a big earthquake, um, or landslides and things like that. I mean, it was really terrible. But at least the gods managed to stop the big divide. That is what legend has. And legend has it that the big divide was stopped a certain amount after the winter solstice. I mean, here in the Western cultures, we also have the winter solstice, had the winter solstice as an important time of the year, and now it has been combined with Christmas, or into Christmas. Um, so the winter solstice did happen, and that was still a rather rather good time, rather easy time. And then the big divide came, and it took several days for it to end, to be ended by the gods, and it ended a few hours after the highest point of the sun. So, from what I understand from the Tegnei High Council, I can compare it to what is here on Earth 2 p.m. So that's quite interesting. It was not at the highest time. They managed to do that 2 hours after, or two full circles, or whatever you want to call it, from and I spontaneously forgot what that word is called. My apologies. Um, okay, let me check that. I really want to know now. Um, uh, 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 um, Right, of course, the hourglass. Duh. So, from what I understand, if you turn the hourglass once and then again, that is compared to 1 hour uh, here on Earth in Tagenay, I mean. So for in Tagenay, it was 4 times the turning of the hourglass, and that was comparable to 2 p.m. here on Earth. So that is when it ended. And because that was such an important moment, I mean, that's terrifying thing that was happening all around Ternay, it stopped. It was stopped by the gods. And at that moment, or basically later on, but at that moment it was for everyone, they felt like, okay, something new has started. And later on, the powers that be, the High Council, decided, okay, you know what? That is the moment that the new year officially starts every year. Um, but at that time, they did not have um, a way to exactly put a date on it. So it is related to the solstice. I haven't quite figured out yet how much later it is than the winter solstice. They haven't been coming forward about that yet, so that's something I still have to discover. Um, so yeah, those are fun things, and it's, how shall I say that? In a way, it is similar to how it works with the Chinese lunisolar New Year. And I might find that the High Council will finally divulge the information and just tell me that it is the same. But I don't know that. I mean, I'd still have to hear that. That is something that I sent that question to them, but I haven't got an answer yet. So I'll have to see about that. And one of the customs in Ternay is that before that 2 p.m. mark, let's call it the 2 p.m. mark, that's the easiest. Before that 2 p.m. mark, you do all the cleaning. You make sure that your house is all right again, and that the streets are good again, that the buildings are shiny again, because that signifies the end it signifies the end of that big divide, and um, the way to clean it up. And then the new year starts, and then with the new year you let all the good things in, and you hope that things get better from there on. So that is how things are in Ternay. And I mean, or at least that is what I have discovered so far for Ternay in Ternay. Um, and I'll have to see if I can find more. I mean, things like colors and auspicious dates and auspicious amulets and things like that, and gemstones. I mean, Ternay is filled with that, and I mean, you will hardly find someone who doesn't have an amulet or I don't know, anything. They will all wear something or have something in their pockets or anything to ward off evil and to help bring in good times, especially around New Year's. So yeah, it's interesting, but um, it's used in a different way, and it's fun. It's fun. Um, so that is the Chinese New Year and how the New Year works in Turkey. So we have 5 minutes for questions. My apologies, guys. I just rambled on with everything. So if you have any questions, just let me know in the chat, and I'll see if I can answer them or just look them up. And after that, we will do a short writing sprint. And I do have writing prompt for you guys, and for myself also. um, so let me know if you have any questions. And also, I'm very looking forward to hear how and if New Year is observed in your story and in your world. Um, are your characters preparing for New Year? I mean, even something in your world or not? Is it necessary to incorporate it in your story? I mean, if your story doesn't play around that time, then maybe it's not even necessary to mention it. Um, in my case, in the Tagnite Chronicles, there will be a time when the characters are confronted with that, because the time the timeline of the Tagnite Chronicles is longer than a year, at least the series. Um, I think it kind of depends on how things evolve in the series timeline. But I think that maybe even in the first book, there will be some celebrations of the new year. So I'm looking forward to that and seeing how that will come to be. Um, because in the first book we already have Naja and Najat, and they are from different countries. The fun thing is, Naja is from a different country than Dragon City, and Najat is also originally from a different country. Um, and Najat is also from a different country than Naja is. So you will see the experiences from three countries already in the first book. And I might have also, I don't know yet, but I might also have the experience from others, from around the continent of Netoan. But I don't know yet. We'll see about that. Um, so yeah, it's fun to think about these things. But keep in mind that I mean, it's wonderful to do that in world building, and to think about these things, to think about all the customs that can be related to it. But also keep in mind that if you don't need it, if your story doesn't play around New Year's, or doesn't, or if your world doesn't even observe New Year customs, then don't think about it. Just let it go. Um, in this case, in the order of, for me, in Targonite Chronicles, it is something big because of the big divide, the big magical divide, which had its influence on the entire planet. So that was something I couldn't just let go and just pass by. I mean, that's such a huge event, in a time where lots of people already lived on the world. Is not something that you can just let it pass without any um, attention to it. But if your story is not in any way related, or has, I don't know, if it plays in the summer and the new year for you, for your world, is in the winter, then there's no real need to include something about the new year. Or perhaps they can make preparations already for the new year. I mean, start the creation of products like lanterns, or I don't know, anything that can be used. So those are also things you can think about. Um, I see so far there are no questions yet. So let's go ahead with our first writing sprint. And I see that I again forgot my clock. That's a recurring thing, a recurring issue. um, let's see, our first writing sprint. We will do a short one of 10 minutes. Um, yeah, 10 minutes. And I have one writing prompt for you. And it is a Chinese saying, um, to wish you a happy new year of the dragon. The golden dragon brings auspiciousness. So I wish you happy writing with that, and good luck. And see if you can use it. Um, I'm really looking forward to seeing the results, to hearing about it. Oh wow, I'm talking too fast. I'm looking forward to hearing about your results. Have fun and happy writing. Oh, right. It's not 25 minutes. Wait, let me fix that. Um, it was supposed to be 10 minutes, and that's because I need to change the scripts. One moment. I need to check where could I change the script again. My apologies. No, not that one. I needed another one. That one. Okay. 1 minute, please. 1 minute. Um. Wait, I need to check one thing. Yeah, okay. So that's quite easy. Okay, let's see if it works now. Yes, exactly. I wish you all a lot of fun. Happy writing. Evelina, thank you. And I wish you a lot of fun with your song playlist. That is the end of our first sprint. How did it go for you guys? I managed to cover 2 chapters, and as luck has it, in one of the chapters there will be a golden dragon. And if you want to know how and where that golden dragon is, and how it is found, and what function it has, then you will have to read the books later on. Because I can't tell you that. That is a secret for now. Um, so yeah, it's a fun thing to write about dragons and to see how things go. In this case, I'll have to see. I don't know yet. Hi, little red noodles. Hello, you only hopped on for the last few minutes of the sprint, but you're making progress. Oh, that's awesome. Well, we had a very short sprint of 10 minutes, so that's absolutely no problem. Um, Later on, you can check how the Chinese New Year works, and what I told you guys about that. That is something, um, or I should say, the live stream will always remain online, so that's not a problem if you are interested in that. Um, Man, I'm thirsty for some reason. I don't know why. Because this is I don't know. Doesn't matter. Anyways, so the writing. So little writer doodles, you said you are making progress. That's awesome. What is your project again? I don't remember at the moment. What are you working on? And Fidina, what are you working on? And how did your progress go? Um, I know you're working on, or if I remember it correctly, you are working on things for your study. I hope that those are things that are going great. Um, so yeah, in Tech Knight Chronicles, like I said, the Golden Dragon appeared, and you'll have to see later on how that pans out, um, and if it is a good sign or not. That is to be seen. Um, in Tech Knight Chronicles, dragons are a very important part of the world. Um, I mean, there are the dragons and the dragon companions, and there are so many dragons, so many varieties, and so many kinds of dragons in Tergne, and so many. It's not only a variety of sizes and colors, but also of shapes and of what the dragons do and things like that. But how did it all come to be? Well, for Tergne, I will tell you guys later on in another video. Um, or maybe, well, not only in another video, but later on I will tell you guys a little bit about um, the things in the dragons in Tergne. But for now, let's look at what a dragon was in history here just on Earth. Now, because it is the year of the dragon and Chinese New Year, I have focused on Western dragons and Chinese dragons. I know that there are dragons in other cultures as well, and I will go into that in another video. I've decided that I will dive deeper into dragons and into the history of dragons and how dragons currently are used in fantasy and how they are seen in other cultures. So I will also go into Arabic cultures, for example, and other cultures to see how dragons are regarded there and what their usage is. But that will take a little bit more time to research. So don't expect that this month. I might do that in March or in April. I don't know yet because I really want to dive deeper into that. So yeah, I'll have to see about that. But I promise you that is something that will come, but it will take some time in for more research and to put it all together and to put it in a logical way, um, and to see how we can use things and how we can properly use, especially how we can properly use dragons also from other cultures in our own books. That is what I want to look at as well. Little Writer Doodles, you say no dragons in it, but they are up a mountain at the moment, so that's a little dragonish, I suppose. It sure is. It sure is. You know, later on, I will show you guys a dragon in a mountain. Um, and that is a wonderful work of art by a good friend of mine, Andy Fraser, who is an amazing artist. And he is not an AI artist. He despises AI, and so do I, just in case you didn't know that yet. So all his work that I show you guys is his own work. He handmade it, so you can be sure about that. But I will show you later on what that looks like. But that will come later. That will come later. So Little Writer Doodles, no dragons. They are up in the mountains, if I recall correctly. But please correct me if I'm wrong. Your story is the one where was that your story? I don't remember. Where it is, I should say it correctly. Is your story the one where one of the main characters had to attend a wedding, or is that from Melissa? And I'm not sure anymore. Please remember remind me of what you were writing about, because it's always fun to hear what other authors are writing about and how their stories are going. In the meantime, let me tell you guys a little bit about dragons in history, in Western history and Chinese history. In Western history, Little Doodles, you say no weddings yet anyway, you never know. Okay, so that's not your story. My apologies, I have the wrong one in mind. Oh, is yours the one with the cabin, or with the house in the mountains that your main character bought, and which her boyfriend didn't agree to? Was that one? I've got so many things in my head right now. It's I don't quite remember. So in Western history, I think you guys all have that almost default image in mind. Um, European dragon is often a dragon that is a fire-breathing dragon. It's compared to a lizard. It has horns. It's scaly. I haven't seen any European dragon depicted as other than a scaly dragon. It has leathery, bat-like wings, and oftentimes, not all the time, but oftentimes it has four legs, and it has a long tail, a very long tail, muscular tail. And they can also have feathered wings, but I have to be honest, I haven't seen much about that. Crest ear frills, like on the ears. Fiery manes, but again, not so much. It's more the monster-like creature, the reptilian lizard-like creature. Spikes running down its spine, things like that. The Western dragon is often associated with fire, like I said. It seems to have its origin even in the Bible, in the Book of Revelation. I haven't read it myself. This is all just from sources. Apparently, it was a seven-headed creature in the heavens which was struck down to the earth by the archangel Michael and was regarded as an ancient serpent or Satan. The dragons in Western history are mostly evil creatures. Well, if they are related to Satan or are regarded as Satan, then I can see that. They are often guarding treasures underground or in a castle or things. And apparently often killing people and livestock, and they had to be killed by a brave knight to bring peace back to the country. Um, and in folktales, apparently dragon's blood often contains unique powers, keeping them alive for longer or giving them poisonous or acidic properties. Okay, so that's interesting. Okay, in Turkey, I have a drink which is called the dragon's blood, but luckily it's not dragon's blood at all. It's just a very potent drink, and you will find out more about that later on. It might be mentioned in the first book, but I don't know yet. I do know I have it in the original first book. Um, so I might include it in the new first book as well. I don't know yet. Um, Little Rights to Doodles, you say no worries. Mine is the isolated island, arguing people and weird magic and feathers. All right, that one, that one. Okay, now I have the correct idea again. Excellent, excellent. Um, so that's you're making progress on that. That's great to hear. I love that. I love that. Okay, so maybe you will find more inspiration later on when I show more art. Um, but let's look at the Chinese dragons right now. They are very different from their Western European counterparts. In China, the dragons are considered to be benevolent, friendly creatures, divine animals. They are associated with water, and they are integral to the running of the universe. Even, I mean, that's incredible, right? They help with water management on Earth, and in the heavens they have diverse responsibilities. Um, all related to water management in essence. Divine dragons make sure the clouds deliver the rains on Earth, so that's a good thing. Earth dragons determine positions of rivers and drainage. I think that's quite interesting. I mean, they determine that, so yeah. Heavenly dragons guard the heavenly palaces. Okay, that's logical. And the scripture dragons protect the Buddhist teachings. That's interesting as well. Oh, hello, Cynthia Lau. And please correct me if I pronounce your last name incorrect. You have a question. What is my interpretation of the wood dragon year, since it's the year of the wood dragon in the lunar calendar? Um, I have to be honest, I haven't looked deeper into, not so much deeper into the various elements of the dragon, because that is something I want to do in a new video in which I really take a deep dive into all the kinds of dragons from all around the world. Let me check. I did have some info on. Oh, where did my? All right. It seems that I closed it. One moment. Um, Cynthia, thank you. You say it's so lovely watching my live stream about dragons. Well, I hope that you find the rest as well lucky as well, or interesting as well, I should say. I'm sorry, I just found something lucky. So let me take a quick look, because if I am correct, there are 1 minute. Right, That's the one I'm most looking for. So there are 5 elements in the dragons. It's the water dragon, the fire dragon. I am a fire dragon. Apparently, I was born in 1976. Damn, I think I just gave away my age. But I'm a fire dragon. And there's also the metal dragon, the earth dragon, and the wood dragon, like Cynthia says. Seeing that there are 5 types of dragons, you will only see one type of dragon each in the year of the dragon. And right now, like Cynthia says, it is the wood dragon. They correspond to certain elements. In this case, the wood dragon is the spirit of the wood that creates growth, according to my sources. The fun thing is, each type of dragon has their own, how shall I say that, their own characteristics. And the fire dragon is one that suits me better in a way, which is a good thing since I am a fire dragon, apparently, according to Chinese customs. And it is the fact that this animal, that this mythical beast is connected to the various elements, is in my opinion is a good way. In Tergane, I have them also connected to various elements. I have the 4 elements: the water, the fire, the earth, water, fire, earth, and I have air. I don't have wood, I have air, so I deviate from that. I have those as the 4 elements. In a way, when I look at the description of an earth dragon or a wood dragon, I think Earth is more connected to the whole planet, apparently, while the wood is connected to, well, growing trees, and it's deep into the ground. Branches are always growing and reaching out into the world, where the earth dragon's body is wrapped around the world, bringing the earth forward into space and time. So those are the quite different dragons. I think seeing that this year apparently is the year of the wood dragon, or apparently it is the year of the wood dragon. It's the year of the dragon, and in that it's the year of the wood dragon. I think it's a good year. And like I said in the beginning, the predictions are very good for several zodiac signs, and it is wonderful that people see a lot of growth for this coming year in many ways. It is also something I am looking forward to, and that is, it is related to life and to everything that is going on right now, and I think that is interesting. And Cynthia, you say interesting perspective on the wood connected with trees. Yes, like the trees have deep roots and also reach up into the sky like the dragon. Exactly. Yeah, the way I see dragons, I will go into that later on as well. The dragons are not. I don't see the dragons like the traditional European dragons. For me, dragons come in a huge variety. For my studio, I have a wyvern, which is connected with and the sky and the water, so it can connect with both of them. So that makes a difference as well. And each dragon can have its own meaning, and its own way of dealing with things. And wood is also is always for me connected to trees and plants and shrubs and basically anything that grows in that way, because that is what delivers wood. Well, okay, plants like houseplants don't deliver wood usually, but like trees from which you can get wood. That is how I see it. Excuse me. Um, and in Tergne, for example, we there's the Earth Dragon, and there's the Earth skill as well. Mages have the Earth skill, and they have the skill to help things grow. So that is, and that's not only not only limited to trees and such, but it's also extended, depending on extra skills you have. It can also be extended to creatures. Like Ayla, one of the main healers in Tergne, her main skill is healing, which is a water skill. Um, that's a whole different ball game, because she's a very powerful mage. Because of that, she's Trice Blast. Um, but her main skill is healing. That is enforced by her water skill, which gives life, in a certain way, and a smaller skill is her earth skill, which helps grow things like herbs and such also, and it helps her to treat animals. So that's a different way that it is done in Tergane. So yeah, um, and mages who have earth skill as their main skill, um, basically have a little bit of a combination of the wood dragon and your skill that I just described. But it's, yeah, in that way, I see Tergane, the dragons in Tergane, and the elements and all the mage skills in Tergane, the elemental skills also. I see them separately from the dragons and other creatures from the Zodiac calendar in China. But it is, I can see the similarities, and here on Earth, of course, the Earth is completely different from Tergane, and here on Earth, I can see I can see both in the Earth Dragon and the Wood Dragon. Those are completely different here on Earth. So that's a fun thing, and I think that's interesting to have them both, um, where they influence very different things. So yeah, that's good. Um, yeah. And Cynthia, seeing your last name, if I may ask, are you also from China or Korea or Vietnam or something like that, or do you come from the United States or any other country? But it's just your last name. Cynthia, you say I'm inspiring you with the image of trees and the biological cycle of life and how they exchange energy, respire and inspire. Thank you for sharing about the mythology. You're welcome. And you're Chinese. Oh, that's great. And you live in Canada. Awesome. That's really incredible. I know a few people who live here in the Netherlands who are Chinese, or a few. I know quite a lot of them. Well, not to a very personal level. I only know a few people on a very personal level. But it's so wonderful to see how cultures can work together and can influence each other, in ways like this. And I think that is also very important to keep an open mind and to see what we can learn from other cultures. And that is why one of the reasons why I chose to do this live stream, because there is so much we can learn, um, from the Chinese culture as well. And I feel like I'm just reaching the very little tip of the iceberg here. And it is one of the reasons why I want to dive deeper into the dragons in a future video, which I will either post here on my main channel or on my studio channel, because my studio channel will be focused purely on world building. So I don't know yet, but that's something for the future. Cynthia, you say, oh wow, you would love to visit Netherlands one day. Well, feel free. Netherlands is a wonderful country, and it's. I think you will recognize the weather. It's not as hot as in the southern countries. I think Canadian weather and um, Dutch weather are in several ways comparable. I will not say in every way, but the Netherlands is far smaller than Canada is, so there's a huge difference in that. I remember that my aunts visited Canada several years ago. I think it was, I don't know, 15 years ago or so, or even earlier, and they told us about later on. They told us about the travel distances um, between cities in Canada, and afterwards, several years later, I went to the United States with my now ex, and we experienced similar traveling times between cities, and I was like, okay, now I understand what they mean. I mean, here in the Netherlands, it takes me 20 minutes to travel from my hometown to the nearest biggest town. So that's a huge difference. Um, and of course, it takes me. Well, of course, it takes me by car about 1.5 hours to go to the heart of Amsterdam, which is our capital. And if I go by public transport, it takes me 2.5 hours. Um, but that's just it. And if we go, like I said earlier, if we go from the most southern part of the Netherlands to the most northern part, I think it's not counting the islands, because that will take a lot longer because we're dependent on ferries there. But otherwise, the mainland is, I think, 4 or 5 hours, and then we're at the tip of at the north of the Netherlands. So there's a huge difference there. So be prepared for that. But there are so many beautiful places to visit in the Netherlands, and it is a wonderful country. Uh, and people might complain that is in our nature. Apparently, the Dutch complain a lot. um, and at the same time, when I've heard from Dutch people who immigrated or to other countries, emigrated to other countries, migrated to other countries. Let me put it that way. That's easier. And they told me that only when you migrate to another country, you realize how good we have it here in the Netherlands. I mean, we may complain about all the things that the government arranges and all the rules we have to adhere to, but if we move to another country, then we would be really happy to have the things we have here. So that's a huge difference. So yeah, that's the Netherlands. You say, Cynthia, you say wonderful. Well, if you ever come to the Netherlands, let me know, and perhaps I can give you a short tour. You never know. Um, so let me check. Where were we? Where are we? We talked about the dragons. We talked about the Western dragons. All right, and I was telling you guys about the Chinese dragons. Like I said, I will only in this live stream I will only go into the Chinese dragons and not also the other dragons from other cultures. I will do that in another video, because this is all about the Chinese New Year and the Chinese dragons and the year of the dragon. So that is why I limited to that. From what I understand, but I'd love to be corrected on that. The Chinese dragon, and also from what I've seen in movies and in series, the Chinese dragon's looks are like this: the head like a camel, the horns like a deer, ears like a cow, eyes like a ghost, although I have to be honest, from everything that I've seen, I've not seen eyes like a ghost in any dragon I've seen in Chinese series and such. So I don't know about that. The neck like a snake, a belly like an eel. I don't. I'm not quite sure how that differs, but okay. Scales like a fish. But I have to say, I've also seen fur on Chinese dragons, and I will show you guys a picture later on about that, to see how that goes. I see that we're running late, but that's okay. Paws or palms like a tiger, and they have all kinds of variety in colors and abilities. Um, and I think I also already said, yeah, that the creature, that the dragons are associated with water. From what I believe, from what I learned earlier, they originated even in the water in mythology. Um, so it's vastly different from Europe, from its European counterparts. And I have to say, the way that a Chinese dragon is regarded is something I far much appreciate. I mean, it is a mythical creature, but why is it a monster? I mean, why does it have to be a monster? I don't understand that. Yes, there can be monsters, but why does it have to always be a monster? That is something I don't get, and I very much appreciate the way that the dragon is viewed in the Chinese culture. Of course, there are evil dragons, but it's from what I understand, it's often because they are sick or poisoned or things like that. But inherently, they are good creatures, and that is what I like about the Chinese dragons. And to spoil things about Tagnay, in Tagnay, the dragons are inherently good. You will have some rogue dragons, but they are in a way poisoned or hurt. I mean, it's like you can, in a way, you can compare it to dogs. I mean, dogs in basics are good creatures, and only when they are really abused, they will turn to the owner or turn to other dogs and fight and hurt them, and um, that is such a huge difference. So that is also, in a weird way, maybe how I view dragons. They are inherently good, and only when they are treated really bad or poisoned or abused or whatever will they turn bad or turn evil. Cynthia, you say Chinese people celebrate the Lunar New Year with a dragon dance. Yeah, I noticed, and it's something that I'd love to see um, live in a way. Someday I'd love to go to Chinatown in, I don't know if Amsterdam has a Chinatown, but someday I would love to go there and just really see it with my own eyes. That would be wonderful. And they have a lioness. Do they? Oh, I didn't know that. Lions are favorite animals of mine as well. They are really majestic. I mean, they are not mythical at all, but they are together with elephants. I mean, elephants and lions, besides our dogs and cats and such, but besides lions and elephants, or besides dragons, I should say, lions and elephants are my favorite animals. Um, Besides the dogs and the and the cats and lovebirds. I love lovebirds. I had a couple that unfortunately died, but yeah, I love them. And Cynthia, you say you need lots of people to do dragon dance because the body is so long. I noticed they really carry it in parts, right? And all the parts are connected with each other, and it's so incredible to see. And I love that. I love that. Okay, because I am running a little bit uh, out of my schedule. I only have until 5:15 my time because I have a friend coming over um, for hot pot. That will be a first as well. Um, so I will do a shorter writing sprint. Oh, that's weird. I seem to have deleted something. Okay, I will do one writing sprint instead of the two I apparently had planned back to back. Cynthia, you say all the parts are on wooden sticks. Yeah, I noticed. Oh, you have had hotpot, Cynthia. Okay. Oh, that's wonderful. I haven't been to a hotpot restaurant or anything here in the Netherlands. I have no idea even if that is something here in the Netherlands. We have wok restaurants where it's live cooking, and we have sushi bars, which is Japanese. But I don't think I have seen a hot pot restaurant, and but I noticed the hot pots in all kinds of Chinese and Korean series. So I found it on a shop here in the Netherlands, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna buy that and I'm gonna try it out. Cynthia, you say you hope I enjoy the spicy peppers in the soup. I'm not that spicy, but I'm keeping it low because otherwise it's too much for me. Um, so I'm right now I have a chicken broth with ginger and spring onions, and what else do I have? I had another thing in it. I don't remember what. Um, but I might add some spicy peppers as well. I don't know yet. I'm not one for the hot things, um, but I know that you can do things. Um, so you're ready to write as well. Excellent, excellent. Um, so I have for the next writing sprint, I have a few inspiring, or at least I find them inspiring, artworks by a friend of mine. He makes them all by himself, and I hope they will inspire you for writing as well. Um, I will show all four of them. That will be the easiest. Um, the name of the artist, and I'm showing you guys all these original photos with his explicit permission. I asked that before because I wanted to be sure that he was okay with me doing this on the live stream. I do ask you that you do not make screenshots of these photos of these paintings, but instead support him in his Etsy shop. Let me put his Etsy shop in the. Damn it! I thought I had that link ready in the chat. This is Andy's Etsy shop. I really, really love it. I really love his work. So I have several of his artwork ready to show you guys, and I really, really love them. I will probably have to restart the sprint, but that's okay. Yeah, because I did something wrong. So this is just to show you guys the photos. This is what I call the frog dragon. And as you can see, it has this. Do you see that on screen? It has that little bulb under its beak, under its head, like frogs have, who use that to sing. And this creature actually sings. And then I have another one for you. This is the creature of the dark woods. These are all dragons that are inspired by the place he lives in, Wales. And I have two other ones for you. This is one, the Draco Zingiber Limo. That is one that he made based on a description I made for right here, for the Dragons of Deep Time. and this was inspired by ginger and lemon. So he made this little dragon of it, and this is a little dragon. But I have a bigger one for you as well, and that's this one. So that is the waterfall dragon. I mean, it's incredible. I love it. Um, so that is Andy's work, and I mean, he is such an amazing artist. So I hope that you will have some inspiration. Cynthia, you say, "Wow, yeah, right. He's so creative, and he really draws everything himself. So that is the incredible thing of this. And just check out his Etsy shop and check out his Twitter account. I will post that as well. Um, the ooh, this is his Twitter account where he regularly posts his artwork, and it is so amazing what he does. Um, I can only say just visit his Etsy shop and buy everything. And later on, I will also show you something from his new work. I think I have that here, or maybe I just the frog dragon, that was from his other work. So yeah, that's it. So let's the restart the sprints. I will do a sprint of 10 minutes. I'm a little bit behind schedule, but that's okay. 10 minutes, and I would say happy writing and go. And that is the end of our current writing sprint. How did it go for you guys? I managed to cover 2.5 chapters. I needed to do some more work on one chapter I had already covered in my outline. But I also managed to cover 2 more chapters in the outline, so that's going good. I'm quite happy with the results so far. I did not use any of the dragons that I gave you guys as an inspiration, um, because I wasn't at that point right now. Cynthia, you say, I think you almost wrote a page with handwriting. Oh my god! I mean, I admire people who can do this with handwriting. I mean, for starters, my handwriting isn't that great, so when I start to do that, I might just not be able to read my handwriting later on. So that's not a good thing. Oh, ignore that. That's my dishwasher. But writing my novel by hand, yeah, that seems unfeasible to me because there is so much that I need to write that I don't know, at some point I wouldn't be able to write anymore because my hand would just hurt too much. So I'm not going down that route. That's only in emergency cases. I remember I had to write by hand a couple of years ago when I was in a write-in, and I couldn't access my documents, and that was a real problem. So I had to write by hand, and yeah, that doesn't work for me. Not anymore, anyway. Anyways, so I really admire people who can actually do that and make it work for them. Incredible, incredible. And Little Writer Doodles and Fidina, how did you guys do? I hope everything went all right and that you managed to write something in your story. Um, or your study. I don't know what you're writing, what you're doing right now. Um, so let's jump to the next topic. Still dragons, of course, but I promised you guys also to take a look at dragons in fantasy. Um, and Little Red Doodles, I want to thank you for your inspirational question about what a dragon is in fantasy and how we can use those. So first, I want to look at if there is a difference between Western and Asian fantasy um, in the way that dragons are regarded in those fantasies. And from what I have seen so far, it's compared to the history, it hasn't changed much. I guess it's in a way logical, but at the same time, I feel that, like I said earlier, we can learn so much from each other. So why would we limit ourselves to only the European dragons, or only the Asian dragons, or only the Arabic dragon interpretation of the dragons? Um, so yeah, that's something I hope that I can do in another way in or that I do in another way in Technic Chronicles, that people will find that fun, interesting. So yeah, from what I have seen, but maybe I've seen not enough. It's still very much the way that it is, that it was in history. Um, so let me see. Yes, that was the one I needed. Um, so let's first take a look at a few fandoms. The first dragon I got to know, I lost its name. I don't remember what its name was, but it was the luck dragon, the good luck dragon in Neverending Story. Um, and I truly loved that dragon. It was a cute dragon. Um, it had that fur, but also the scales. It wasn't a European dragon, and that is probably it was, from what I how I interpreted, it was more an Asian dragon. or it was an Asian dragon, I think. And I think that because this was the first dragon that I saw in this case in a movie. I hadn't read about dragons yet. I hadn't seen any television series with dragons yet. This was the first dragon that I got to see, and I think that is why I love Asian dragons so much, because this is a friendly dragon. This is, I mean, he protects the little boy. He protects Arteu, and he can fly, but he doesn't have, if I recall it correctly, he doesn't have wings, or he has small wings. I should check that at some point. But this is really a friendly dragon, and it's so far from all those European monster dragons. This is the one that I started to love. This is where my love for dragons started. Um, so yeah, that is my first dragon. Cynthia, you love it. Yeah, right. It's so cute, and it has a wonderful color, and it's not white. It's I don't know. It's different, and the way that he treats Arteu is also, it's caring, and it's like a friend, and that is what I really admire. And also, what I noticed, one of the big differences between how Chinese dragons are regarded and how Western dragons are regarded, Chinese dragons can actually communicate with people. In this case, in Neverending Story, the luck dragon can actually communicate with Arteu. But I also see it in Chinese series. I watch them with subtitles, and I now have a little bit more experience. I mean, I don't know Chinese, but I know a few Chinese words, and sometimes the translation is really horrible. But I can still make it up from the context that the Chinese dragons can actually communicate with people. They can sometimes they can really talk with people in the common tongue. Let me put it that way, and that is so different. I mean, in with Western dragons, they growl and they make all kinds of noises, but you can't. I mean, it's like communicating with a dog. I mean, I may simplify it, but that's the only way I can describe it. While with the Chinese dragons, it's such a difference, and that is what I love about it. I mean, why would we limit it? Um, so if you didn't know that yet, yeah, I love Chinese dragons. So yeah, you say in the movie Spirited Away, the dragon also communicates with the human. Yeah, I mean, we all would love to be able to communicate with our pets, with cats, with dogs, but also with horses and other creatures, perhaps with birds, or I don't know. So why wouldn't we be able to communicate with dragons who are regarded as sentient beings, who are regarded as the top of the food chain in many cases? Why wouldn't we be able to communicate with dragons? And that is something I've always been wondering about the Western dragons. Cynthia, you say Lunar New Year is celebrated not only by Chinese but also other Asian cultures like Korea and Vietnam and Japan. Yes, and that is what I love about it. And also, the I know it's also been celebrated in Suriname. Um, Suriname. Okay, I know it in Dutch. Suriname. um, and then also in other countries where there are a lot of Chinese people. But indeed in I'm saying Chinese, but it is because I focused on Chinese. But I know that in Korea and Vietnam and Japan, dragons also are quite different from Western dragons. That is why I also said that I want to dive deeper into the dragons in another video, because there are so many di- okay, sorry, my apology. I heard a weird sound outside. There are so many um, different varieties of dragons, and in other countries, but also in other cultures like the Arabic culture, India, all kinds of all kinds of other cultures. I've just skimmed things, so I don't know enough about them to tell you guys about them right now. Um, but enough to know that it is interesting to have a separate video about it, or perhaps even a separate video series to take a deep dive into dragons and to what all the dragons from the different cultures and from the different countries can can mean in fantasy writing, because I think that especially in Western fantasy writing, we are, in general, we are way too focused on the Western dragons. And of course, they have their place, but we should also look at other dragons. That is what I do in Interne, and I think that it is important to look at all kinds of interpretations of dragons. So yes, this luck dragon was my first, and was the dragon why I started to love dragons. Um, so yeah, you say you don't know too much about dragons in different countries. Yeah, it's I know that in I think, yeah, America and London, they also have their own Chinatowns. So there they use the Chinese dragons. I think it's the same for for Suriname, but I'm not quite sure. I know that Switzerland. I've been to a place in Switzerland. They had their own little dragon. I don't have the photo with me right now, so I can't show it. But I hope to be able to show that in the video later on as well. Um, and if I'm correct, that was actually a dragon that was protecting the people. So it can happen in Western cultures, but it doesn't happen so much. So yeah, um, that's what I know right now, and what I'll dive into in the future. Um, so this dragon was my first, was the first dragon, but this is not the only dragon. There are many other varieties of dragons in fantasy. Cynthia, you say it was really fun talking about dragons today with you. Well, if you have time, I'm going into other fantasies as well, fantasy dragons as well. And if you don't have time, thank you for being here, and be sure to catch the last information as well later on, if and when you have time. And in the future, I will have more videos about this, and of course my live streams, just my normal weekly live streams at at Saturdays. They were at Fridays, right now it's Saturdays. And if you have a suggestion for a topic that you would like to see covered, like right now, like a themed live stream in the future, just put it in the chat, put it in the comments, or in the form that I have linked in the description, and I'd love to hear about any subject that you would like to see covered. um, not not anything that that can be related to writing and fantasy writing, because that is what I specialize in. So not political things. I don't do political live streams. I might touch on political subjects, topics, but only in such a way that it will have a link with fantasy and with world building, but not in any other way, because I think that's too much. So, other dragons. Well, of course, there's Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons has loads of variety, all different sizes and shapes, but they all generally are reptilian or serpentine in its base. Mostly they have wings, they are able to fly, they have four limbs, so two front, two left legs. They all lay eggs, they have sharp teeth, they have horns, they have claws. And they all have a scaly height. So in contrast to the luck dragon that I just showed you from the Neverending Story, they have only scaled heights. And like the Western dragons, they are mostly regarded as monsters. Mm, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Then there are Game of Thrones and House of Dragons. Um, from what I've seen, they are mostly wyverns. They can be ridden by the Targaryens. Um, they do understand their mother, at least in Game of Thrones. I haven't seen House of the Dragons yet, so I don't have a good insight into how these dragons communicate with the previous Targaryens. Um, but from what I understand, all the dragons are basically the same in George R. R. Martin's world. They are wyverns, and they are scaly. They are ferocious, can be ferocious. They are certainly not regarded as cute animals or divine, like Asian or Chinese dragons, or like the luck dragon um, in the Neverending Story. So that's quite a difference. Now the inheritance cycle, there the dragons were originally thought to be extinct, if I interpreted that correctly, until Aragorn, the main character, finds an egg. I mean, I guess it's safe to say that I can give that away. Same here, based on Western dragons. Again, reptilian, scales, sharp teeth, four legs, membraned wings, and these dragons have a tongue that's covered in hooked barbs. That kind of reminds me of a cat's tongue, because a cat's tongue also seems to have that. The question is, why do they have that while they don't have a fur? So that's an interesting question. Now, there's another thing, or another fandom, and this is from a game. It's a game I love to play. That's Dragon Cave. I'll put that in the chat as well. Let me get the correct address so that you guys have that. This is a game I have played since 2009, I think, so that's a long time. Dragon Cave has a great variety of dragons, and it is not only limited to the default, almost default Western dragons, but it also has pygmies, little dragons, the size of pet animals. It has drakes, but not like in other media. These are really drakes that have been developed especially for Dragon Cave. Worms, which are regarded as dragons in Dragon Cave. We have dragons that are inspired by Eastern dragons. They essentially are Eastern dragons, Chinese dragons. And they have the non-dragons like paper dragons and dinos and a little tree. You can only have one of that. So Dragon Cave expands the universe of the dragons. They also have dragons that can turn non-corporeal, dragons that are more like ghosts, or that are ghosts. So there's a far greater variety of dragons in Dragon Cave, and that is what I love. There are also dragons that have fur, and there's the pillow dragon. I mean, that's only fur. I mean, that's exactly what you may think. So that makes a huge difference, and I love that. And of course, there are all other kinds of video games that have all kinds of dragons in them, but mostly are again inspired or based on Western dragons. Like like I said earlier, I've watched quite a few Asian series, Chinese and Japanese and Korean, and from what I see, most dragons are benevolent, still like in history, regarded as benevolent dragons until they are provoked or poisoned or until they are sick. They have all kinds of sizes and shapes and colors, but mostly they are snake-like creatures, like I described earlier. And that is, I think, that is a good thing and fun. It's one of the reasons why I like Asian fantasy series so much, because you see the dragons in all kinds of varieties in there, um, and they are usually good dragons. Yeah, that's so that is one way to look at dragons. Now there are also the artistic impressions. Well, in this case, from Andy, and he has, like I said, several. He has a way of looking at dragons and thinking about dragons that you might not think about. So let me show them. Oh, I forgot to. Right, these are the dragons from. Oh wait. Oh, come on. My streaming software doesn't want to cooperate. Right, here we have it. This is one of Andy's creatures. As you can see, it's not your typical dragon. This is inspired by the mushrooms that you can see here. So that's, I mean, and did you look at all those eyes this little dragon has? It's incredible. And this is one of the dragons you might find in Wales. And here's another one for you. It's a pumpkin dragon. So I mean that's also fun, right? And here you can see it's really a little dragon because it is sitting on top of a pumpkin, and if you look at it, half of its body, of its main body, not including the tail, is the size of the stem of the pumpkin. So that's wonderful. But Andy also has other dragons like this one. Now these are dragons of the dark woods, and well, you might not want to run into them anytime soon, because you know these lights might lure you deeper into the dark woods. So I wouldn't do that if I were you. I wouldn't follow those lights. But that's just me. And then there's this one. Little Writer Doodles, perhaps this can be an inspiration for you. This is one of the mountain dragons I referred to earlier. Let me see if I can make it a little bit smaller, then you can properly see the mountain. The dragon. Let me resize it a little bit more. Yeah, this way you can properly see it. This is made with a mountain. I mean, you can see the claws, you can see the tail part, the head. It's incredible. That is what Andy made, and this is one of the Dragons of Deep Time. It's a Kickstarter project that I joined, supported, I should say. When was that? 2 years ago, I think. Andy is wonderful with that. So yeah, that's also a way to interpret dragons, and that's. I mean, you do not have to limit yourself in the way you think about dragons. If I look at Tergane, for example, I have dragons that can fit on the tip of your finger, they can fit in the palm of your hand, but also dragons that are well, maybe the size of an airbus, or a little bit smaller, or just a bus, or well, at least they are bigger than a horse. Um, and you do not have to limit yourself to what is standard in media, or in games like Dungeons and Dragons, or the Western dragons, or the the Chinese dragons. You can make up any dragon you want and call it a dragon. I mean, why not? Why would we limit ourselves? So that is my advice that I'd like to give you for handling dragons in your world. After all, it is your world, not the world of Dungeons and Dragons, not the world of Game of Thrones, not the world of Neverending Story. It is your world, so you decide uh, what a dragon looks like. You decide what a dragon can do or what it can't do. You decide um, if a dragon can communicate with the people in your world and how they communicate with people in their world. Do they do that with telepathy, or do they do that with actually speaking the common tongue, like it's often used in fantasy stories, or communicate in a different way? Like, okay, this is a little spoiler, but I guess since The Witcher has been shown already, this is for The Witcher. There is season 2, I think, or season 1. I'm not sure anymore. There is that moment where the Witcher and other parties go into the mountain to defeat a dragon, and this dragon can turn into a human being. So there's also that. I mean, that in the form of the human being, the dragon can communicate with the humans and other species. Um, so that is also a way you can work with dragons. Um, Worms can be, well, in Dragon Cave they are actually dragons. They are regarded as dragons, just like two-headed dragons or three-headed dragons or seven-headed dragons, like apparently the Book of Revelations talked about in the Bible. So there are many ways to look at dragons and to incorporate them in your story, and especially when you are working with your own world, you can basically do anything you want as long as the dragon, the creature, fits in your world with the rules that you made for your world. Then everything is possible. I mean, look at my creature. Look at Riri, my creature, my flutter nymph. That is based on a combination of several animals here on Earth, and it is a completely new creature. I mean, it doesn't exist yet in any, as far as I know, in any media. And I have other creatures as well in Terragnay that don't exist yet in any other media. And I incorporate them in my world and I make them alive. And I decide that they are that particular creature. I decide what they look like. I decide that in this case the flutter nymph is not a dragon, but it is the flutter nymph. But my dragons, all my dragons, have a variety of sizes, but also a variety of shapes. There are the dragons that are more snake-like, like the luck dragon that I just showed you guys. But also that are more like the Western dragons. One big difference with many media, with especially many Western media, is that all my dragons are inherently good. That's a big difference. They may look like a normal Western dragon, some of them, but they are inherently good. they have a way to communicate with people. It's for other people who are not dragon companions. It is not the common tongue, and when they hear the dragon speak, they might not understand it until the dragon chooses another way. And if the dragon chooses that way, then you have done something really, really wrong. I can tell you guys that. The powers that be allowed me to tell you guys that. Um, so those are my ways of, or I should say, that is my view on dragons, and that is how I use dragons in Tergane and in my fantasy story. So feel free to use any sort of dragon. Feel free to, if you feel that a worm, or I don't know, a phoenix is a dragon. Oftentimes a phoenix is not regarded as a dragon. Oftentimes a phoenix is a bird. But why wouldn't you have a phoenix dragon? I mean, why not? Um, or I don't know, make a combination of animals that you like and of which you can make a believable combination, and define that that is a dragon in your world. It might not be a Western dragon, it might not be a Chinese dragon or any other Asian dragon or an Arabic dragon or whatever. It might not be a dragon that looks like any other dragon in any fantasy world that we know of, but it is your dragon, and it is the dragon that you have in your world. Um, that is how I see dragons in fantasy. I think it is important that we do not limit ourselves, um, because I see, from what I let me put it this way, from what I see in fantasy, the worlds are too limited. Like I said earlier, there are Western dragons or there are Asian dragons, and there doesn't seem to be anything in between. And I don't agree with that. That is my personal opinion. Doesn't have to be yours. But I don't agree with that. There is so much in between, and that is one of the reasons why I like Dragon Cave. Dragon Cave has so much in between those two. There are so many dragons in Dragon Cave, and I will give you the wiki for Dragon Cave as well, because it is. One moment, I'm looking for the wiki right now, and I can't find it. Why can't I find it? Oh, there it is. There was this moment where I had, okay. Here you can see all the different types of the dragons that are available in. I should have done that differently. This is a better page to view that. These are all the dragons that are in Dragon Cave, and if you look at their dragons, you can see there are so many different dragons. And that is why I love Dragon Cave. It's not limited, and most of these dragons have been designed not by the owner of the site, but by artists on the forums, and it is incredible. They do not let themselves be limited to anything, and they just design a dragon based on any idea they have. Um, and I think that that is important to do, especially in fantasy stories. Um, of course, you have to, or you have to. It is wise to look at, or handy to look at how shall I say that? At how, for example, dinosaurs worked. Um, I mean, for Technic Chronicles, I actually looked at that, and thought, okay, how can I make my dragons fly longer distances? One of their very good things is their magic. They have magic as well. In contrast to the Western dragons, my dragons in Tergane oftentimes have magic, if only because the magic is partially responsible for keeping them in the air when they fly. Um, and it is something you see in Asian dragons as well. They oftentimes have quite the amount of magic as well. But that's not the reason that the Tergane dragons have magic. Um, but that is, how should I say that? That is one of the limitations I see in Western dragons. No magic. Um, and I think that's not a good thing. So feel free to to design a dragon concept or idea and define that as your dragon in your world, um, because that makes your world yours instead of the next Dungeons and Dragons or the next Game of Thrones or the next, I don't know, give a name to it. And that's, I think that is something that is important. Make it your own. And if you feel that, I don't know, worms, pygmies, and anything that is not a traditional Western dragon or a traditional Asian dragon is still a dragon in your world, then it is a dragon in your world. That is the beauty of it. That is the beauty of fantasy. That is the beauty of creating your own worlds, um, and not being limited, um, by basically what other people tell you. Um, so yeah, that is how I view dragons in fantasy, um, and what I do with it. And that is the only advice I can give you, is my view on dragons and my view on how dragons work in my world, and how I deal with the limitations that I feel from other fandoms. Um, I just set them aside and I just ignore them, and I just use what I think is right for Tagne, um, and it works for me. So that is dragons in fantasy. And if you have any questions about that, let me know. Let me know right now in the chat or during our last writing sprint, or let me know in the comments, if you are watching this live stream after it has already finished. Um, I will get back to you as soon as I can. I want to, there's one thing. I regularly check if I have comments on my videos, but I have noticed, or rather I should say, I normally get notifications of comments on my videos, but I don't receive notifications for some weird reason when there is a comment on my video. I don't know why that is, so I do check my comments, or the comments on my videos, basically every day. But if I have missed a comment from you, then please make a main comment, not under another comment, but make a comment of your own, um, and then I will at least get a notification. And if you are in the Discord, of course, you can also ask in the Discord. Feel free to do that. Um, so I have one more writing sprint for you guys. And I have to admit that I'm out of writing prompts for you. The only thing I can advise you, the only writing prompts I can give you are any of the images I have already shown you, the artwork made by Andy, and the Neverending Story dragon, all the dragons we've covered so far. I mean, they are amazing. Um, use the Lunar New Year. Um, oh, I have a writing prompt for you guys. New Year, or did I already use that? Perhaps I already used that in the beginning. Let me check that. Checking my writing prompts. Yeah, I already used that. That was with the first writing sprint. My apologies. Um, Another writing prompt. No, I'm out of writing prompts at the moment, so my apologies for that. Next week, I promise you I will have more writing prompts again. Yeah, that's it. So, one more writing sprint. This time it's 25 minutes, the normal time that I do writing sprints. Um, so 25 minutes and then a very short recap until the end of the live stream. I wish you all a happy writing and let's do one more writing sprint. Have fun. Oh, wait. I did something wrong there. My apologies. I need to adjust the script. I forgot about that. Come on. One more time, I wish you all happy writing and good luck. One moment, I'll be right back. And I'm back again. that is the end of our last writing sprint. How did it go for you guys? I've been battling a bit with point of views in chapters. At the moment, I'm kind of in doubt if I'm going to keep one certain point of view character. Well, actually, two. And that is something that I am going to solve tomorrow. I have decided. um, because I simply don't know. I need to figure this out before I go further into the outline, because these characters do give certain information that I need in my story, um, or do obtain certain information that um, needs to be given to other characters. So I need to figure out, if I don't have these certain characters, how am I going to make sure that the information is going to the other characters. And one character is quite important for other parts I have already written originally in the first drafts earlier on. So I don't know yet. These are really things I have to figure out. So I'm going to do that tomorrow. Uh, because I know that I can't keep writing my outline like this, because if I don't make a decision soon, then I will have to do way too much work to make this work later on if I decide to delete these point of view chapters. Um, so yeah, that's where I stand at the moment. I did get a surprise from one of my characters, particular in one of the places, but I can't tell you guys more about that yet. Um, so that is where I stand right now. So I guess I have some writing sessions going on tomorrow as well, at least for myself. Um, Writing, and I will be doing some world building, because I really need to fix a few things. I need to know the name of the kingdom, where Naja comes from. I need to. Oh, I did something really wrong, I see. I don't know what I did. Okay, this is surprising. What did I do? No, come on, work with me. Okay, no. Okay, well, it's sort of fixed for now. My apologies. So yeah, I need to know the name of the kingdom Naja's coming from. I need to fix once and for all if the village where Najat saves Riri and her family, if that is indeed the most southern point. It can be as simple as deciding Dragon City is the most southern city of Natuan, and this village, which is much smaller than Dragon City, is simply more southern than Dragon City, but is not that important in the whole on the whole continent, if you get what I mean. So that is some world building that I have to do. And I need to find some names for a few people. I mean, I can't keep calling Naja's father simply Naja's father or the king of that kingdom. So I need to figure out the kingdom's name as well. So yeah, there are a few things that I need to fix, and a few things that I need to figure out. So that's going to happen tomorrow or Monday. I don't know. I'll see about that. Probably tomorrow, because these are really things that I really want to fix. before I move on with my outline, because I already have things in my outline that I know now that if I don't make a decision on this right now, that I really need to move things around, fix things, and do things in another way. And if I don't do that right now, then it will be hell if I do that later on. So that is the result of of this latest and last writing sprint. I hope you all had a wonderful time learning about the Chinese New Year and learning about dragons. I hope that I gave you a lot of inspiration and to see what you can do with dragons yourself, in your own stories and in your own worlds. Make it work for you. That is what is most important. Um, so yeah, next week, next week, Saturday, 2 p.m. Central European Time, Amsterdam time, and I hope to see you.